And hello again. Welcome to Ron Siegel Radio. This is the show with no real boundaries as we discuss current events, financial markets, politics, sports, even poking fun at the media. This is the show that connects the dots of confusion delivered by conflicting media reports. We connect the dots so you know the actions you can take, how your family, your business can benefit from current events. Most of all, thank you for joining me. Within every market, there are solutions as well as tremendous opportunities. You just need some trusted guidance. That's my message. I deliver it every day, and we have a very focused show. We only chat about items that affect the roof over your head, your bank account, and anything I feel would benefit you. Let me remind you, if you ever have any home or finance-related questions, I am the consumer advocate looking out for you. And you can reach out to me directly at 800-306-1990, 800-306-1990, or RonSiegelRadio.com. Just remember, that's the number you call anytime for assistance. When you call that number, it comes directly to me first. There are no operators standing by. I am it. Guess my boys are sleeping again this morning. You gotta love live radio, don't you? It's always kind of a never-ending adventure in live radio. It's amazing how we have this going on all the time. While I do have a great team when it comes to developing a financing plan or a plan to save you money, I personally work with you. Even if you don't have any needs today, save this number.
Quiet, numbskulls, I'm broadcasting.
Sorry about that, guys. I didn't mean to wake you up. Even while I do have a great team when it comes to developing a financing plan or a plan to save you money, I personally work with you. Even if you don't have any needs today, save this number in your phone for future reference, 800-306-1990, 306-1990. Celebration of the day. I looked at the list this morning and holy cow. National Sewing Machine Day. National Weed Your Garden Day today.
This is ridiculous.
Random Acts of Light Day.
You're absolutely useless.
Call Your Doctor Day.
So I know whose ass to kick.
Yeah, maybe we'll just stick with National Kitchen Kletzes Day, being that there isn't a whole lot, and we will look forward to tomorrow when it will be National Strawberry Shortcake Day. Top it off with a little bit of bourbon. I guess you can't go wrong on that one, can you? Moving right along, markets up 73 points today. Oil up 30 cents a barrel today. U.S. 10-year Treasury up just a little bit at 2.216. Not a whole lot of movement right there. So we're nothing all too exciting right there in the markets. There's a lot of Anticipation Day, I think is what they're calling it today. Anticipating what is going to happen with the Attorney General when he testifies in front of Congress. We'll find that out. We're going to anticipate what is going to be the president's move on his agenda, the jobs week this week. President's getting into something I've been sharing with you. I'm a big proponent of. Too bad there's not a whole lot of the world that's proposing this same concept, but it is a great one. It's going back to figuring out what the economy needs, what people need, and providing that to them. The idea here, again, is looking and saying, okay, you know something, we've got 6 or 7 million jobs available, yet people are not trained for the jobs that we have. What do you think is going to happen when we don't have the training for these people or for these jobs? The jobs go unfilled. People start complaining. I was watching a report. Welders, $83,000 a year as a welder. No college education required. No student loan debt is required. Yet there's not enough welders to cover our population of what is needed. So think about that concept. And when we're looking at the jobs around America and what our society really needs, do we need another political science teacher? Maybe we don't even need any of them. We got into this theory that if you're not getting a 4-year education, a 4-year formal education, spending boatloads of money, then somehow we should be looking down on these folks. And I'm going to say that there's a lot of great citizens, great Americans that are out there who don't have that 4-year degree, and they're doing some good things in this world, and there's a lot of need. More than just the good things they're doing in the world, they're supporting their family, they're looking out for their family, they're growing the economy and their family. They're out there buying cars, they're buying houses, building houses. All of this stuff is great stuff. And the elites of the world, and I love listening to just the elites. I'll just leave it at the elites. But why do we need to send every kid to college, Bernie Sanders? Let's look at that. Maybe every kid doesn't want a 4-year degree. Maybe every kid doesn't excel with a free education. Although you have to wonder about the free education. Who's paying for that free education? The teachers are not teaching for free. The administration buildings are not there for free. Who is paying the bill? The bill somebody's got to pay for it. Now, if you're not putting people out there to get jobs, then where are they going to get the money to keep building all this stuff and giving away all this free stuff that Bernie wants to give away? I just don't understand. Please help me with that. Free health care, okay. Free education. What are you going to do with the education, being that you're not going to have a house that's being built because Bernie doesn't want that, Bernie Sanders, that is. Yeah, the more you listen to the guy, the more you have to really wonder.
I got a bad feeling about this.
I got a bad feeling about it. What's he up to? What's his game plan? Just saying. May PPI flat from April, matching the consensus. It was 2.4% higher than 1 year ago. Core PPI, which excludes food and energy, increased 0.3% above the consensus for an increase of 0.2%. Core PPI was 2.1% higher than a year ago, so that's some decent economic numbers that are in the system right now. Just watch, try and, I would suggest, and I say this on our social media channels all the time, take a look and follow the money. Where is the money going? Why is it somebody like Bernie Sanders, who tells everybody else, pay more taxes, you don't need as much, give everybody everything for free, yet he's got 3 houses? Does that make sense? Can you follow that logic? Just a question mark for you right there. Figure out what Bernie's up to and think about the other side of it. Do you want to be forced? Think about health care. I like the idea. We want people to have health care in our country. We have already a good situation for people where there is a safety net. Now, people do have to take some personal responsibility. I believe that if you're not going to get a health care plan of your own, you really should be looking into at least catastrophic care. Because you want to make sure that if something unforeseen happens, you're covered. But holy cow, being forced to buy a policy that is something that you don't want, don't need, is that America? Is that the America that we want? Just a question mark for you right there. Do you really want that America to be the country that you're listening to or you're contemplating? I don't think it really is. I think that we really want to be going from an America where we have the option of doing what we want to do. Good morning, Robin. Glad to see you with us this morning. But we want to have that option of buying what we want. I don't want to have to pay for a maternity coverage for my son. He's probably not going to have any need for maternity coverage. Just saying. If he does, it'll be better than winning the lottery in Menifee last week. Just thought process. Now, we looked at the idea of the CBO. Now, this is what the media wants you to be looking at. How the CBO's analysis of the House health care bill is so politically biased. Now, think about this concept. Under the bill, a few million people, the CBO didn't give us anything more specific than a few million people, would buy policies that would not cover major medical risk. That's their option. In these cases, the policies would not provide a sufficient financial protection to meet the CBO's definition of insurance coverage and would not provide enough financial protection in the event of a serious and costly illness to be considered insurance. Now, what is insurance? Let's think about that concept. What is insurance? Insurance is nothing more. Here's the definition. It is assigning one's risk to another for a fee. So I have a risk of getting ill. That could be I make that decision that You know something? Do I want to take that risk on myself? Or do I want to pay somebody else to take that risk on? Now, when you start forcing that other party, the insurance company, to do something they don't want to do, you start seeing exactly what we're seeing in our society right now. Yeah, you're seeing an issue where people are not getting coverage. Why aren't they getting coverage? Well, it's very simple why they're not getting coverage. The insurance companies are saying, you know something? It's not worth it for me to sell that any longer. The insurance companies are not there to take on your risk without getting rewarded. They use actuarial tables to say, okay, the likelihood of a male individual getting pregnant is pretty slim. So they don't have to assign a lot of expense to that. Then they look and say, okay, a female over 40, here's what the likelihood is of them getting pregnant. A female over 30, here's the likelihood. They assign an expense to that. Then they sell that out. Same is the truth when we hear about the idea of a higher cost of insurance for seniors. Well, that's totally logical. It should be higher. The likelihood of a 19-year-old healthy individual falling and breaking a hip, or breaking a hip and then falling, which is really more like what happens, but the likelihood of that happening is significantly less than a 90-year-old falling and breaking a hip. You see what I'm saying there? So when you're assigning that risk, if you're paying somebody else to take that risk for you, you need to be paying more money for it. It's just the way the system works. Forcing one individual to pay for somebody else's insurance doesn't make sense. Forcing the insurance company to sell it at the same price, well, they've got to raise the price on one individual to cut it on somebody else. Why do you think those individuals, those young people, decided, I don't want insurance? Well, it was very simple. They said, I don't want to pay for Granny. Maybe I don't even have a Granny, but I don't want to pay for Granny's health care any longer. I'm willing to pay for my own health care. I just don't want to pay for Granny's health care. Think about that concept. Now, unfortunately, the young people are not the voters, so when Congress goes and enacts this legislation, they don't really care what the young people are thinking or what the young people are saying. We don't mind. We'll force them to pay more. Because we know that we have to kowtow. We have to push and the agenda of the elderly because they're the ones that are going to be the ones that are voting. So when we talk about Social Security, I get myself in trouble every time I say it, but I say it anyway. You talk about Social Security. Social Security was implemented as a safety net for our senior citizens. When it was implemented, you can get Social Security at age 62. The projected death was 63. It was a safety net. Now we're living till 85, and we wonder why there's not enough money. Well, seniors say, we paid into it. Well, you're right, you did pay into it. You're also the ones that voted for the people that spent it all before it got to you, that stole your money. You voted for the people that stole your money. The 18-year-olds, by definition, did not vote for that to be stolen from them. They didn't vote to have a higher tax to pay for Social Security. They didn't vote for that because they were not voters. Now that they are voters, they're not wise enough to realize that the seniors, the elder people, have a bigger say because the politicians don't care what the young people are saying in this world because they don't get out and vote. They understand that. We'll talk more about this when we come back. You're listening to Ron Siegel Radio, discussing your real estate, current events, and the financial markets when we come back. Homeownership is a good investment. We will demonstrate why I say that. The best cities for golfers to live in. What is a financial crisis? New college grads, where should you be going? And how much money can you save with a balance transfer? All that and more. You can reach us anytime. Our off-air number, 800-306-1990, 800-306-1990, or RonSiegelRadio.com. Connect with us, Facebook.com/Ron Siegel Radio, on Twitter @Ron Siegel. And if you miss any part of our broadcast, shame on you. But the replay is available, Ron Siegel 1, Ron Siegel the numeral 1 on YouTube. Stay tuned. We'll be back in just a few.
A house in the middle of a street. A house in the middle of a
Are you earning a safe, secure 10+% return on your investments? Is your credit score over 800? Are you living in the home of your dreams or simply where you think you can afford? If the answer to any of these questions is no, what are you doing about it? Text ATP to 79564. Complete a 3-minute complimentary survey and the area trusted professionals of Ron Siegel Radio will reach out to you to develop a success strategy for you. Again, all you need to do is text ATP to 79564.
What if your family business could help clothe a less fortunate family? Or your restaurant could feed truly hungry people? What if you could help to comfort the lonely? Plant sustainable resources where nothing has ever grown before? Or make a child's lifelong wish come true? What if all you had to do was simply do nothing more than what your business already does every day? Would you do it? Introducing Processing for a Cause, a unique program that turns a percentage of your business's credit card volume into ongoing donation dollars for nonprofit organizations and foundations. Simply switch your credit card processing provider to Processing for a Cause and begin supporting a worthy cause today. The process is simple, and the cause will change lives forever. Processing for a Cause.
Are you a veteran, own a home, and need money? The Siegel lending team is here to help veterans refinance and get the money they need. The VA 100 lets you borrow up to 100% of your home's value, refinance your mortgages, consolidate credit cards, and lower your payments by an average of $700 a month. And the Siegel lending team knows that character means more than a credit score. Call 800-306-1990. That's 800-306-1990. Rate subject to change without notice. Licensed by the California Department of Corporations, NMLS 21037, and DRE number 018694452.
Are you a veteran, police officer, firefighter, doctor, nurse, or teacher? If so, you qualify as one of Ron Siegel's VIP heroes, and we have rewards up to $5,000 or $10,000 when you buy, sell, or refinance a home with one of the Ron Siegel radio partners. As one of the heroes, real estate agents will rebate part of their commission. Lending partners will give a credit at closing. The title company has special published rates, and many other service providers have incentives too. All you need to do is call Ron Siegel Radio at 1-800-306-1990. That's 1-800-306-1990, or visit VIPHeroProgram.com. Just think about what you will do with all the rebates and incentives from the partners of Ron Siegel Radio. Just call us at 800-306-1990 so we can show you our appreciation for your service.
You're listening to Ron Siegel's Home and Finance Show with local and national expert Ron Siegel. Now, here's Ron.
Welcome back to Ron Siegel Radio. Within every market, there are solutions as well as tremendous opportunities. You just need some trusted guidance. That's my message, and as your consumer advocate, I will be delivering it every day on Ron Siegel Radio or anytime at 800-306-1990, 800-306-1990. The real-time real estate segment today being brought to you by the area trusted real estate professionals of Ron Siegel Radio. Text NEST, N-E-S-T, to 79564. One of the real estate professionals will get you set up on a home search. Now, you just put in a few of the parameters in there. This is sponsored by some of our real estate professionals. So you put in the parameters that you want. How many bedrooms, how many bathrooms, location, price. And it's going to start popping out to you text messages every time a home fits your unique desires. And it's going to let you know where those properties are. Homeownership is a good investment. That's not a question. It is a statement of fact. According to a recent report by Trulia, buying is cheaper than renting in 100 of the largest metro areas by an average of 33.1%. The report may have some people thinking about buying a home instead of signing another lease extension, but does that make sense from a financial perspective? Ralph McLaughlin, Trulia's chief economist, explains owning a home is one of the most common ways households build long-term wealth, as it acts like a forced savings account. Instead of paying your landlord, you can pay yourself in the long run through paying down a mortgage on a house. The article listed 5 reasons why owning a home makes financial sense. Number one, mortgage payments can be fixed while rents go up. Equity in your home can be a financial resource later. You can build wealth without paying capital gains, and a mortgage can act as a forced savings account. Overall, homeowners can enjoy greater wealth growth than renters. The bottom line, before you sign another lease, let's chat about your options. Now, I am not going to say that wait until you're right at the end of the lease period. I'm going to say, right, the way the market is right now, my suggestion to you would be get into the market, start looking at property, or get in touch with a lender. Our friends over at Gold Star Mortgage is a great option for you. About 4 months, 3 to 4 months prior to your desire to move. 3 to 4 months. Why do I say 3 to 4 months? Well, the issue here is that's going to give you the appropriate amount of time to, number one, meet with our team over at Gold Star Mortgage. When you meet with the team, they're going to look and they're going to say, okay, here are the documents we need. Let's get a loan application. Let's get the documentation in. Let's look and see, maybe over the course of the next 2 to 3 months, there might be some options for you to improve your situation, your credit standing. Strategically, maybe you want to pay down some debt in certain proportions. Now, in many instances, individuals simply look and say, okay, what if we just pay down the highest rate interest products first? And I'm going to suggest maybe that's not in your best interest if your goal is home ownership. If the goal is to buy a house in the very, very near term, which 3 to 4 months is the short term, then maybe your goal ought to be, let's see how much we can get our FICO scores enhanced by correcting the record. Now, how do we do that? Well, there's a number of different ways of doing that, but some of the ways may be that you want to look at the marketplace. And what do I mean by look at the marketplace? There are options for different credit cards. I like to use creditkarma.com. I recommend a lot. Creditkarma.com. You go in there and you look and say, okay, if I've got a bunch of credit cards, is there a credit card that I can do a balance transfer on? A balance transfer. When I transfer my balance on there, what happens? Well, if you find the ones that have a zero interest balance transfer, number one, you're going to bring over most of your debt from the old credit cards. Yes, you are taking on an additional debt, which is the utilization. That helps your credit score. So taking on the additional utilization or additional availability helps your score. So you're going to transfer debt from your interest-bearing cards, and you want to transfer it appropriately. So the first thing you're going to do is you're going to look at what can I transfer that's going to bring all of my debt down to 70% utilization. Utilization is the amount used, the amount you owe on your credit card, divided by the balance, or divided by the limit of your card. So the balance divided by limit gives you utilization. So we want to look and say, okay, let's bring all of them down to 70%. Got it. Now, once you've done that, do we have enough on this zero balance, on the zero transfer, to bring everything down to 50%? And again, I'm not worried about the interest rates on each program right now, because we're looking to enhance our credit scores. So we're going to bring everything down to 50%. Now, if we still have availability, we're going to bring them all down to 30%. Okay, so when you're doing that, now you're going to transfer the payment. You're going to have minimum payments. Your payments are going to go down on all of your cards, but you're going to move them over to the zero interest card. So you're going to make payments on that one, but you're going to have zero interest on it. You're going to have a higher availability of credit. That's going to help your scores. You're going to have a lower utilization because you've got that new card. That's going to help your scores. Most likely 30 to 40 days down the road, you're going to see some enhancements to your credit score. That's what we're looking to do, is to get an enhancements to your credit score. Because then when you go to buy a house, and again, that's why I'm saying, if you're leasing right now, the idea is not to wait until the lease is about to expire. 4 months ahead of that time, You get together with our team over at Gold Star Mortgage and you start making these plans. Then you also need to look at your legitimate credit report. Are there errors on that credit report? Well, the answer to that question is yes, there are always errors. So the answer is, let's get those corrected. Do not hit the dispute button. There are specific forms that we can give you that you use to mail in a request for them to update your credit scores. So you mail that request over to the bureaus, and you have to include with that identification. We'll tell you how to do that. And you have to include utilities. I'll tell you what and why on that one as well, a utility bill. Then you're going to say, okay, we want to get these things corrected. Now, maybe you're going to find out that there's something on there that's accurate. There might be a medical collection from 3 years ago that you didn't even know about. Well, we want to get it corrected. There are specific ways of doing that also. Don't just write a check to get it correct. Think that's going to correct it. What you want to do is make sure that it's going to come off of your report. So, and remember, nothing has to be on your report. They want the collection companies want you to believe things have to be on your report. Nothing at all has to be on your credit report. What does have to happen on your credit report is the data that's on there has to be complete, it has to be accurate, and it has to be verifiable. Now, if a collection company chooses not to verify something that the Bureau asks them to verify, that has to be removed. It's very simple to get that removed. All they do is they don't verify it. And in most instances, do they really want to spend money verifying once they've already got collected? So you get a letter saying, okay, you've got a $1,000 bill. I'm willing to deal with that. I'm willing to settle that for, say, $250. Get it in writing. We will settle this. We will mark it paid in full for $250, or paid as agreed, $250, and we commit to you to reporting to the bureaus that it's either paid as agreed or not reporting anything at all, so it comes off your credit report. Very, very simple options. That's the Real-Time Real Estate segment, again brought to you by the area-trusted real estate professionals of Ron Siegel Radio. Text NEST, N-E-S-T, to 79564. Find your dream home before someone else does. If you have questions about these issues, go ahead and send me your questions at any time, or if you're watching us live on Facebook, the Ron Siegel Radio is our feed on Facebook. Go ahead and type your questions right in there. Share the feed if you have the opportunity as well, because you are listening to Ron Siegel Radio, discussing your real estate current events and the financial markets. When we come back, best cities for golfers to live in. What is a financial crisis? How much money can you save with that balance transfer that I was just talking to you about? You can reach us anytime. Off-air number 800-306-1990, 800-306-1990, or RonSiegelRadio.com. Connect with us, Facebook.com/Ron Siegel Radio, on Twitter at Ron Siegel. Stay tuned. We'll be back in just a few.
Siegel Lending Team offers you buying power. Let's say you can afford a monthly mortgage payment, including principal and interest, of around $1,900. With today's rate on a 30-year fixed mortgage of 3.75%, APR 3.85%, that payment could support a $416,000 mortgage. But if you wait and rates tick up to around 6.5%, which is roughly the average home mortgage rate over the past 30 years, that same $1,900 mortgage payment, including principal and interest, may only be able to support a $314,000 mortgage. That's over $100,000 worth of home you're missing out on by waiting. That's buying power. All you need to do to get started is reach out to the Siegel Lending Team at 800-306-1990. That's 800-306-1990. Or visit SiegelLendingTeam.com. That's SIEGEL LendingTeam.com. Payment example excludes taxes and insurance. Call us for full details, 800-306-1990. That's 800-306-1990 or SiegelLendingTeam.com. Equal housing lender, licensed under NMLS number 217037.
Is your credit score over 800? Are you living in the home of your dreams, or simply where you think you can afford? Are you earning a safe, secure 10+% return on your investments? If the answer to any of these questions is no, what are you doing about it? Text ATP to 79564 Complete a 3-minute complimentary survey and the area-trusted professionals of Ron Siegel Radio will reach out to you to develop a success strategy for you. Again, all you need to do is text ATP to 79564.
Are you purchasing or own a luxury home? If you're like so many others, your home is your largest asset and the mortgage is your largest debt. The Siegel lending team has some amazing financing opportunities right now. Jumbo loans up to $2 million, 30-year rates below 4%, 15-year rates near 3.5%, and if you can believe it, 7-year interest-only hybrids in low 3s. The Siegel lending team has all the options for your jumbo or second home loan requirements. Take advantage of them while you can. To learn more about all the other financing products available from the Siegel lending team, call 1-800-306-1990. That's 1-800-306-1990. Or visit SiegelLendingTeam.com. That's SIEGEL LendingTeam.com. Again, call 1-800-306-1990. Rates subject to change without notice. Licensed by NMLS ID 217037 and 145502. Equal housing lender.
Do you own real estate or have assets over $150,000? Do you know one of your heirs will be the probate courts and the IRS? If you don't have a living trust, you will go through probate. Call Heritage Financial Services toll free at 1-855-434-7400 for a free review. Check us out on Facebook, Heritage Financial Service in Lake Forest, California. That's 1-855-434-7400. Again, 1-855-434-7400.
You're listening to Ron Siegel's Home and Finance Show with local and national expert Ron Siegel. Now, here's Ron.
Welcome back to Ron Siegel Radio. Within every market, there are solutions as well as tremendous opportunities. You just need some trusted guidance. That's my message, and as your consumer advocate, I will be delivering it every day on Ron Siegel Radio or anytime at 800-306-1990, 800-306-1990. The Your Credit Matters segment today being brought to you by CreditSanitizer.com. You have a credit report. It is wrong. What are you doing about it? Credit Sanitizer has these solutions for you. You just need to give a call, 800-306-1990. We will put you in touch with our friends at Credit Sanitizer. See what we can do about getting your credit corrected. There are a lot of different options in there. We know you have options, so let's just look at them, see what makes sense for you. Again, it's all about your money. It's about how you save money when you're looking at some of these different sources or resources that we send you. So if your credit report is incorrect, which they all are, and your credit scores are dropped 50 points, it can mean the difference between getting a car and not getting a car. It can mean the difference between, there's a whole host of issues right there. It can be the issue, getting a house, I looked at yesterday just for somebody, and because of the difference between a 750 FICO score, and you do not need a 750 FICO score, and a 700 FICO score, was about $110 a month on that particular program that they were looking at. $110 a month is $36,000 over the life of a 30-year mortgage. It's a little more than that. It's probably close to almost $40,000. But that's the issue right there. Get the information. Get your reports corrected. Check them every 6 months. Make sure you know that your report is accurate. What is a financial crisis? Almost 10 years past America's most recent financial crisis. You can still hear the term in the news. Whether it's in regards to recovering from one or the impending onset of another, it's a phrase that elicits dread in many people. Despite the prevalence of the term, it's not always well defined. In order to better understand what is a financial crisis, we did a dive into recent and historic examples. A financial crisis occurs when the value of financial institutions or assets drop rapidly. It often coincides with stock market crashes, banking panics, and investor asset withdrawals. There's often a recession directly after a financial crisis arises. This is due to the economic turmoil associated with the sharp drop in asset values. In other words, when banks or investments drop quickly in value, usually in a matter of days or weeks, it's the start of a financial crisis. Why do you think they came up with this too big to fail that they didn't do anything to solve? What causes a financial crisis? Well, a variety of factors can cause a financial crisis. Some of the most common reasons include irrational investor behavior, sudden bank withdrawals, speculation that results in overpricing of certain assets, and bank debt default. Irrational investor behavior simply means that investors overreact or underreact to certain investments. The so-called irrational behavior can cause a domino effect on the market. This happens when a large number of investors react the same way, either inflating poor stock choices or selling rapidly. Both factors can cause a crash. Some factors, like sudden bank withdrawals, were more common in the past. After the stock market crash in 1929, there was widespread panic. People wanted hard currency rather than investments, since those failed in the crash. Subsequently, they rushed to banks to withdraw assets. With so many people trying to take money out at the same time, banks literally ran out of cash. For speculation of assets, we can look at a number of examples, the most recent being the subprime mortgage crisis in 2007-2008. In the years prior to the bubble burst, investors speculated that real estate was a good place to earn returns. Since mortgage lending standards were low as well, many investors bought up properties with the hope to sell at a profit later and didn't consider the possibility of loss in value. It's considered speculation when there's hope to gain profits in the future without hard evidence. Think about that. Prices going up because prices are going up. We've talked about that. It's a simple way of understanding this. Prices going up because prices are going up. Not because that house has any more value today than it did a year ago, or there's more demand for that property than there was a year ago, or that stock is at a... I heard the other day Amazon 170 times earnings. The S&P 500 is probably somewhere in the mid-teens. So that at 170 times earnings, does that make any sense? Debt default is when, and if you want to think about this, I mean, now we hear everybody's talking about Amazon being the great retailer. 5 years ago or 7 years ago, it was Walmart. Nothing was going to ever stop Walmart. And now we're talking about it, everything that we hear about is all about Amazon. So think about those concepts when the way things change. We're hearing things about Uber right now, right? Uber being a great tool. And I use Uber. I like it. But with driverless cars, what's that going to do to Uber down the road? Think about these things. Debt default is when an individual or an institution doesn't meet the legal obligations or conditions of a loan. This can mean a home buyer not paying his or her mortgage, or a corporation not paying a bond that reached maturity. In the 2008 crisis, the investment banking firm Lehman Brothers declared bankruptcy because its debts outweighed its assets. It's important to realize that a financial crisis can include any or all of these factors. There isn't a certain combination that happens each time. Economists still debate the origins and conditions for how and why crises arise. It can be any number of variables that ultimately results in the sharp asset value decline associated with a crisis. Federal regulations also come into play. The 2008 crisis was partly blamed on the Federal Reserve's manipulation of interest rates and large subsidies and regulations in housing, banking, and mortgages. The history of financial crisis, America's first financial crisis, began in 1790 with Treasury Secretary Alexander Hamilton at the helm. According to The Economist, Hamilton was determined to bring America's banking systems on par with Britain's. He established the first bank of the United States. 2 years later, he set the national precedent for a government financial bailout when he was forced to funnel public money to bonds and lenders. The markets had crashed due to speculative buying and banks running out of the hard currency that backed its loans. This led to America's first financial misstep. In the time since that first crisis, there have been roughly 11 additional crises in America. Each crisis usually correlates with financial slumps directly after. And while the most notorious is the Great Depression of 1929 to 1933, the most recent is 2008's subprime mortgage crisis. In 2007-2008, America's financial system exposed its problems when the housing market crashed. The crash revealed bank irresponsible mortgage lending practices after many lenders with poor credit history defaulted on their mortgages. The broader investments based on those mortgages, known as collateralized debt obligations, that's where we get the CDO name, also slumped in value. CDOs were exposed as not having real value, despite having a high rating from such authorities as Standard & Poor's and Moody's. They were impossible to sell. This left banks in a catastrophically bad situation. This brings us to the fourth largest American investment bank, Lehman Brothers, who filed for bankruptcy in 2008. 10 other banks, including Merrill Lynch and AIG, came within the final yard line of bankruptcy as well. The banks only avoided collapse because of government rescue. That's what the government should be there for, is a safety net, but they've got to create the things. I've shared with many people the Glass-Steagall Act. The repeal of the Glass-Steagall Act under President Clinton was a major cause of the financial crisis. Glass-Steagall basically said that investment banks, that would be like Merrill Lynch or JP Morgan, could not be a part of a depository bank. That would be Bank of America or Chase. When you put those two together, that's when you get too big to fail. There's not enough separation. And what the separation really means is Lehman Brothers, I'll say this right away, the filing of bankruptcy for Lehman Brothers was not a bad thing. I would argue that the government, instead of forcing Bank of America to buy Merrill Lynch, would have been much better off letting Merrill Lynch, or in the same case of JP Morgan with Chase, the population would have been much better off having let those institutions fail. Why? Not that I wanted to see the people get hurt, but what I really wanted to see was I want the institutions to know that they're not too big to fail. That when you take an undue amount of risk, there is a cost associated with that. What happened by bailing them out, what happened by bailing out AIG, is now companies like that say, you know something, I can take this risk. I'm not worried about this risk, because if I just get on my knees with the federal government, they'll pay out, they'll cover my debts, they'll cover my shortfall, and I don't have to worry about it. That's not a benefit to our country. That does not help anybody. That hurts us in the long run. You want to have the consequence for risk. The best consequence that we have for risk is failure. And if the stockholders and the CEO and the executives all lose their golden parachutes because they've taken on too much risk, that's not a bad thing. That's something that's actually a benefit. I would suggest that they won't take that risk. Right now, they'll take the risk because they look at it and say, you know something, if I take that risk, the government's going to bail us out. I may end up walking away, but I get my golden parachute. My family makes boatloads of money while the taxpayer eats the bill. Now, you don't hear that commentary going on because they don't want, the government doesn't want you to understand that. There's too much lobby money coming from these institutions to let it happen. You get a Bernie Sanders, or you get a Nancy Pelosi, or Maxine Waters, who all say, well, Dodd-Frank is a good thing. No. Glass-Steagall was a good thing. Come up with something like that that forced, when they made AT&T break apart because it was too big, did we get a lot of benefit from it? Yeah, there was a lot of people that didn't like that fact. But if you force a JP Morgan, a Wells Fargo, a Merrill Lynch, Bank of America, if they are forced to break apart and change the depository side from the investment banking side or the mortgage side, get them out of all these different businesses, bring them down to being smaller entities, then if they take on too much risk, you say, you know something, I'm sorry that you took on that risk, but your stockholders and your executives, they're the ones that are going to pay the price. It makes good headlines to say they need to go to jail, but it doesn't make financial sense. It doesn't help the people when they go to jail. That does not help them. You're listening to Ron Siegel Radio, discussing your real estate current events and the financial markets. When we come back, how much can you save with a balanced transfer and the best city for golfers to live in. You can reach us anytime. Off-air number 800-306-1990, 800-306-1990, or RonSiegelRadio.com. Connect with us, Facebook.com/Ron Siegel Radio, and on Twitter @Ron Siegel. Stay tuned. We'll be back in just a few.
Are you living in the home of your dreams or simply where you think you can afford? Are you earning a safe, secure 10+% return on your investments? Is your credit score over 800? If the answer to any of these questions is no, what are you doing about it? Text ATP to 79564. Complete a 3-minute complimentary survey, and the area trusted professionals of Ron Siegel Radio will reach out to you to develop a success strategy for you. Again, all you need to do is text ATP to 79564.
Isn't it time you found out the truth about FHA-insured home equity conversion? No, it's not your grandfather's reverse mortgage. This just may be the finest financial planning strategy available for all homeowners of retirement age. Helping protect what you've earned is the job of your board of directors with continued education. Major research has shown that using a HECM will significantly enhance the success rate of a retiree's portfolio and legacy. Please allow us to educate. For your complimentary consultation, call Jay Kaplan at 949-300-3855. That's 949-300-3855.
Are you currently renting a home? Do you like paying someone else's mortgage payment? Why not explore the options to purchase your own home? Can you imagine a 30-year fixed-rate loan below 4.25% APR? This means with $10,500, you can purchase a $295,000 home and have a principal and interest payment of about $1,400 per month. What are you paying in rent? Does your family deserve the opportunity to take advantage of the current market? To learn more about these exciting opportunities, the Siegel Lending Team is standing by to speak with you. Call now, 1-800-306-1990. That's 1-800-306-1990. Or visit SiegelLendingTeam.com. That's SIEGEL LendingTeam.com. Or 1-800-306-1990. Rate subject to change without notice. Licensed by NMLS ID 217037 and 145502. Equal housing lender. Not endorsed or sponsored by any government agency.
Do you have a goal of mortgage-free home ownership? What if your home was valued at $500,000? Are you aware that a free and clear home could be costing you $2,500 every month, $30,000 per year? The mortgage planners at the Siegel Lending Team would like to show you how you can own your home, generate tax-free income, and accumulate family wealth. You simply need to call the Ron Siegel Team at 1-800-306-1990. That is 1-800-306-1990. By sending the team a copy of your most recent mortgage statement, the team will send you a no-obligation real estate plan. You be the judge if this is right for your family. Again, all you have to do is send the team a copy of your mortgage statement by email to REAP@RonSiegelRadio.com or call today, Ron Siegel, 1-800-306-1990. That is 1-800-306-1990.
Rate subject to change and without notice. Licensed by the California DOC and BRENMLS 217037 and 145502 and Cal BRE 01869452 and 1866775.
You're listening to Ron Siegel's Home and Finance Show with local and national expert Ron Siegel. Now, here's Ron.
Welcome back to Ron Siegel Radio. Within every market, there are solutions as well as tremendous opportunities. You just need some trusted guidance. That's my message, and as your consumer advocate, I will be delivering it every day on Ron Siegel Radio or anytime at 800-306-1990, 800-306-1990. In the Word on Wealth segment today, being brought to you by Gold Star Mortgage. When you're ready for that next mortgage, any mortgage, Gold Star has the programs available for you. You gotta love their fast pass approval. It's not a pre-approval. It's called a fast pass approval. And the reason I love that item is it gets the file actually into an underwriter, so you're not waiting to see if the underwriting approval, the automated approval, that's the word I was looking for. There is an automated approval system, and when you're using the automated approval system, you don't always get. It's very easy. Anything that's automated, almost anything, I should say. I shouldn't say everything, but because I don't know everything, but when you're dealing with an automated approval system, one of the things that we do know about an automated approval system is that you can trick it. If you put in the information that it wants to see, it's going to spit out the information that you want to see from it. So it can be tricked in many, many instances. So just be careful of that. Just because somebody says they've got a DU approval or an LP approval, that doesn't necessarily mean that the loan's going to go through. If they've got a fast pass approval, unless something drastic happens, such as a job loss or, God forbid, a death or disability, that loan's going to go through. That because it's already been viewed by an underwriter. They've already got the conditions coming back from that underwriter. They know what they're doing at that point in time. So I'm going to really, really focus or talk to you about that, especially when you're in an institution or an time period when there's a huge amount of competition for buying houses. Just a thought there for you. Gold Star Mortgage, give me a call at 800-306-1990. I would be very, very happy to put you in touch with them. They are our lender of choice. And I'll tell you this, I share this regularly. I am not married to any lender of choice. They're the lender of choice right now because they're doing a good job for you. If they were not doing a good job for you, they would be out as the lender of choice and there would be somebody else taking that position. Balance transfers. We talked about that in the first segment today. The question is how much can you save with a balance transfer? And getting out of debt without running your credit score, without ruining your credit score can be a very expensive process. However, there is a tried and true method savvy credit card users have been taking advantage of for years that can save you thousands and sharply reduce the time it takes to get out of debt. So you follow this pair of simple steps to start making a debt-free life a reality. Number one, stop paying interest on your credit card debt immediately. How do you do that? Well, you go and you look for these zero-interest APR balance transfer cards. They're out there. You just have to look for them. Chase has one. Bank of America has one. Capital One has one. All the different institutions have those different cards that you can use. Now, they probably come with like a 1% or 2% balance transfer fee. In some instances, they have a zero balance transfer fee because they're looking to entice you. They know, or they're banking on the fact that you're not going to change your ways. They're banking on the fact that they believe that you've built up your credit cards by getting you to come over on a zero balance or zero interest introductory balance transfer, but you're not going to get that card or that debt paid off before the interest rates kick in. And some of these promotions are for 6 months, 12 months, 15 months. Some of them are even longer than that. But that's their bet, is that you're going to run up your debt, your credit again. So what I want you to do is take that whole debt. If you've got, say you've got $5,000 in credit card debt, and right now you're having to pay, and say you're at 25% interest, maybe you're paying $600 a month in payments, minimum payments, because of how much interest. You're having to realize or understand that based on those numbers, $5,000, 25%, your debt is going to double every 3 years. Just the way it is, a little less than 3 years. So if you're paying $600 a month on that, now you move that over to a zero interest. Well, now if you continue making that same $600 a month payment, you're going to have that paid off in less than a year. The idea there is the money's not going to the bank. Now they're banking on the fact that once you pay it off, that you're going to start using their credit card and they're going to get the interest from you. Don't do that. What you really want to do, keep that card open because you've got a good history. You just had a $5,000 balance transfer. You've paid it off in a year. It's going to help your credit scores. You're going to save a boatload of money. You're going to save just in that first year $1,250. Think about that. That's a lot of money. Now, again, we know that people are creatures of habit. I don't want you to go and build that right back up again. But again, keep that card opened, continue using it, buy a cup of coffee, buy a tank of gas, use it as your refill for your Starbucks app, whatever it is. But don't go building it back up. Real quick, we got a quick story for you. The best cities for golfers to live in. I saw this. Arizona and North Carolina dominate. Smaller cities mean more golfing. Mixed weather, you got to watch for that one. Phoenix metro area is on top. 4 cities in the Phoenix metropolitan area cracked out top 10. So here they are in order: Portland, Oregon; Gilbert, Arizona; Chandler, Arizona; Winston-Salem, North Carolina; Fort Wayne, Indiana; Mesa, Arizona; Scottsdale, Arizona; Lincoln, Nebraska; and of all places, Riverside, California, but that might include the Coachella Valley out there; Boise, Idaho. That is the top 10. And as always, we ask you set that first radio preset button to come back here every day to join Ron Siegel Radio, where we only speak about items affecting your house and your bank account. Thanks to all of our sponsors. A big thanks to John, who's engineering us today. And, of course, a special thanks to you for spending a little bit of your day with us. That's all for Ron Siegel Radio. Again, if you have any questions or to meet any of our guests, call me anytime. 800-306-1990. 800-306-1990 or ronsiegelradio.com. And remember, make a lot of money, help a lot of people, have a lot of fun. Have a great day. We'll talk to you next time on Ron Siegel Radio.